Captain Traoré.
On the grand stage of global power, one figure walks with quiet strength and fierce purpose. As Captain Ibrahim Traoré stands shoulder to shoulder with world leaders, he carries more than the pride of a nation. He carries the heartbeat of a continent. This is not a symbol of allegiance. It is a declaration of presence. Africa is no longer knocking at the door. Africa is stepping through it. Bold, sovereign, unstoppable. To every young African watching, this is your call. Your face belongs in the halls of power. Your voice belongs in the decisions that shape tomorrow. From the resilient soil of Burkina Faso to the global arena in Moscow, the message is clear. This is the era of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In May 2025, a moment of symbolic and strategic significance took place. While much of the world looked to the east for signs of shifting alliances, a VIP Russian aircraft, the Il-96-300, took off, not for Beijing or Berlin, but for Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Its mission: to pick up Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young and defiant leader of Burkina Faso, and bring him to Moscow as a special guest of President Vladimir Putin. This moment, seemingly small in the chaos of global headlines, carried immense weight for Africa. It represented the repositioning of a continent that has long been a passive player in global politics, now stepping into a role of agency, strategy, and strength. Captain Traoré, representing not just Burkina Faso, but the broader AES bloc, the Alliance of Sahel States, is being recognized not for compliance, but for courage. His presence at Victory Day isn't a show of submission. It's a declaration. Africa is no longer on the sidelines. The AES, consisting of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, was formed as a response to shared challenges: terrorism, economic instability, and Western interference. What began as military-led transitions evolved into a broader regional vision for sovereignty, security, and self-determination. Each of these nations has faced immense pressure from international institutions and foreign governments, particularly France and the EU. In response, the AES has rejected foreign military presence and aid conditionalities, instead turning inward and eastward for strength. Together, these states envision a new security and economic alliance that works for Africans, by Africans. Traoré's trip to Moscow is not just symbolic, it's strategic. It shows that the AES bloc is seeking allies who respect their sovereignty and who see Africa as a partner, not a project. Russia's engagement with Africa has grown significantly in the last decade, particularly with nations seeking alternatives to Western hegemony. From arms deals and infrastructure to energy and diplomacy, Moscow has presented itself as a power willing to engage Africa without colonial baggage. While Western media often paints these partnerships as manipulative, many African leaders and thinkers see it differently. Russia offers leverage, a chance to play multiple powers off each other for Africa's benefit. For Traoré and the AES, Russia offers support in defense, infrastructure, and political backing at the international level. More importantly, it reflects a pivot away from unilateral dependence toward a multipolar foreign policy that empowers African voices. Victory Day in Russia commemorates the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany, but in recent years, it has become a geopolitical stage. World leaders who attend signal not only respect, but alignment. This year, the presence of President Xi Jinping of China, President Lula of Brazil, and leaders from Belarus, Serbia, and Slovakia shows that Moscow is still building coalitions, despite Western sanctions. For Traoré, attending Victory Day is not just about honoring Russia's history. It's about showing the world that Africa chooses its own friends, that Africa can honor its heroes while building new partnerships on its own terms. Predictably, Western media has responded with caution, concern, and criticism. Some have accused Traoré of aligning with dictatorships or turning away from democracy. But these critiques often ignore the lived realities of Sahelian nations and the hypocrisy of Western double standards. The truth is more complex. Many African nations are tired of being lectured by those who've historically exploited them. They seek partners who offer respect, not rhetoric. Traoré's Moscow visit may unsettle the old guard, but for many Africans, It signals progress. It says, we're not waiting for permission anymore. Traoré is not alone. Leaders like Assimi Goïta in Mali and Abdourahmane Tiani in Niger are part of a wave of young, assertive, and self-reliant African presidents. Though controversial in international circles, they enjoy massive domestic support. What unites them is not ideology, but purpose: to secure their countries, control their resources, and pursue development without foreign interference. This is the essence of Pan-Africanism in the 21st century. Not just political unity, but collective strength built through shared values, mutual support, and visionary leadership. Of course, there are risks. Attending such high-profile events amid security threats, including drone attacks on Moscow, is dangerous. Aligning too closely with any superpower carries its own burdens, and building African unity across diverse political systems, cultures, and economies is no easy feat. But African leaders like Traoré seem willing to take these risks, not for personal gain, but to reshape their country's futures. And history shows, great change always comes with resistance. For Africa to truly rise, it must be willing to walk difficult roads, and it must walk them together. As Traoré walks alongside world leaders on Victory Day, his presence sends a powerful message. Africa is here, not as a follower, but as a force. It is a signal to the youth of Africa that their future can be shaped by those who look like them, speak their languages, and share their hopes. It is a signal to the world that Africa is not a passive continent. It is the world's next center of gravity. From Burkina Faso to Moscow, from past struggles to future triumphs, this is the story of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In Moscow, Captain Traoré will hold one-on-one talks with President Vladimir Putin, a meeting confirmed by Kremlin advisor Yuri Ushakov. But more than just a photo op, this face-to-face with Putin, and the presence of Xi Jinping of China and Lula da Silva of Brazil, signals a tectonic shift. This is the BRICS world. And Africa is not just knocking on the door, it's walking through it. The Western narrative has long painted African military leaders as rogue, unstable, or illegitimate. But as Captain Traoré stands beside Xi, Putin, and Lula, the message to the global north is unmistakable. The old model is crumbling. For decades, the West has relied on puppet regimes and extractive relationships. But those days are numbered. Africa's new leaders, sovereign, self-determined, are reshaping the rules. There remains, however, a class of African presidents who still bow to foreign masters, exchanging sovereignty for stability and natural wealth for foreign approval. These leaders are not just out of touch, they are out of time. As nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger pivot eastward, a continental realignment is underway. The people demand dignity, not dependency. This is not just about one leader or one nation, it is about a continent stepping into the multipolar future. A future where Africa is not a battleground for superpowers, but a superpower in its own right. The presence of Captain Traoré in Moscow is symbolic. It says, we will partner, but on our terms. We will trade, but we will not be.
Leave your comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this video so that we can be able to educate ourselves, understand the differences, and then focus on the most important things in this video. Subscribe, like, and share if you've not. See you in the next video.